Welcome to Engaging with Monique, a podcast where you can find inspiration and hear from people who are engaging with the world in exciting and inspiring ways. Let's jump right in with Monique.
Welcome to this episode of Engaging with Monique. I'm so glad that you've made the decision to use part of your valuable time here with us today. We're very excited to know that you're here. For this episode, I'm excited to share one of my favorite people with you, and that is Miss Nancy Tillman. I met Nancy working in the school district, and she now works with English Learners Engage as one of our awesome English learner instructional coaches. But today we're mostly going to talk about her life outside of EL Engage. So I'm just excited to introduce you to good, inspiring, and engaging people every time that we get to be together. And so today you have one of the best in Miss Nancy Tillman. So Nancy, again, just so glad that you're here with us. I'm just kind of wondering, for folks that don't know you, just kind of tell us, who are you and what's it like to be you in this season? So I am just so excited to share good and engaging and inspiring people with you. And Nancy Tillman definitely hits the mark on all of those. And so, Nancy, just kind of being with you here today, talk to us about what is it like to be you in this season? Who are you and what's it like to navigate life as you right now?
Well, navigating in my life can be a little exciting sometimes. I have joyful moments, but other times it may be a little bit more cynical, for lack of better terms. Just depends on which side of the bed, I get out, or maybe what's happened before or the day before. To be me is to have a lot of excitement and a lot of exploration for sure.
Yeah. And how are you? I know every day is a little bit different, I think, for you right now, but what are some of the things that fill your days?
Well, what fills my day, the first thing I will say, so happy to wake up in the morning and see daylight. But at this time in my life, it's essential to wake up and I say, oh, I'm here again. Thank you, God, for that. But I just like to go out and see what it is I get into if I don't have anything planned. But most important for me right now, which is taking a lot of my time, is be able to be there for those that need a voice. And that's really important to me, for those that are not being heard or being seen, being marginalized, I guess. And so for me, that's a big thing right now.
Right. And I know a little bit about your story. So, of course, you have your English Learners Engage work, which is so valuable. You tutor and some kids that very much need that voice at times within our school system. But you also talk to us a little bit about the work that's going on in your home, right?
Well, in my home, you would think that the neighbors think I'm the United Nations. We are foster parents for URM, which is, what would I say, unaccompanied refugee minors that come from different countries for different reasons. It could be political turmoil. It could be maybe war. It just for many different reasons that some I can't mention. But at any given time, I may have children from, say, South America, from different parts of Africa. And some may know English or social English. So we get them in school, we take care of them. And through Catholic Charities and CPS is also part of the organization that helps us with the medical and also with the legal aspect of it. But it is quite rewarding and more than, because they're also teaching us different things about their culture, but
Right.
to be able to nurture. And sometimes it's difficult because they're young adults sometimes, and they either have parents or don't have parents or missing in any given time. They may be sad or crying. Other times they're happy to be involved in your own family
Right.
and culture.
Yeah, you probably have to, I would think, take them where they are, right?
Yes.
And engage with them in the ways that
Yeah.
they want, right? And it's all about what they want and
Well,
what they need.
I think we take a lot of things for granted. I know that we have like something as simple as a microwave. Or maybe I had two young boys from different parts of Africa, and they were being helpful, but they were mopping the wrong way. And, they thought that's how you do it. And I said, you pull. And I said, you push. So we were in battle with the mop. But it's fun now because they are thriving. They're bankers and just doing marvelous. So we laugh at these things right now, but that's not always the case.
Right.
Yeah.
And we won't say too much, but we get to go today and celebrate with one of your connections. I don't think she's a formal placement, but someone that you've gotten to support as a young adult coming in from another country as well. And we'll get to celebrate that she's kicking off her clinicals, right, within
Yes.
nursing school.
Yes.
And so there's lots of celebrations. And yet, Nancy, let's be honest, like you could, I mean, I look at you sometimes and I'm like, my kids are 20 and 21, and sometimes I'm a smidge tired of parenting. And I kind of think about you and the fact that you could just choose to float about your pool every day, like you recently built a pool and you really are enjoying your
Yes.
home. What keeps you coming back to this type of work? Because you don't have to do it in this season. It's definitely a choice.
That's a very easy
Mm.
answer. I also had foster parents. I did live with my biological mother, and we come from a large family, but I ended up with a foster home for no fault of hers at all.
Mm.
And the fact that someone, reached out was a little rebellious. Okay. I'm just going to be honest. And the fact that someone took that opportunity and that chance on me and brought me in, made sure that I graduated high school, made sure that I learned life itself, learned how to live and how to be independent and how to take care of myself. It just, I see that there is hope for everybody, because I had a very difficult upbringing, to say the least, and didn't have a direction at all. And my foster dad, who is amazing, I just is still to this day checks on me. We talk on Sundays, on birthdays, and I go visit him. So we've always had that connection. But he took a chance on me, and I was able to finish high school. I was able to graduate college. I was able to obtain my master's degree. I was in the military. I was a drill sergeant. I've done a lot of things, and so
I'd like to say I'd be terrified if you were my drill sergeant.
but the fact that I was able to do these things because someone took a
Right.
chance. So I just feel to pay it forward, not because I have to, but because I know it'll make a difference. It
Mm.
will make a difference. It has made a difference in my life. And now I have a beautiful family, grandchildren, but I also have this extended family from around the world. Like, I mean, who can complain,
Yeah.
and they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful in their own way. They're beautiful. And any given day, I may be eating food from Ghana. I may be eating food from Ethiopia or South America. Who knows? But
Mhm.
I'm something. And so I'm very blessed, truly.
Yeah, you all right, Nancy. Listen, thank you for all of that. We're going to take a quick break, hear a few messages, and then we'll be right back to continue this inspiring and engaging conversation.
Are you an educator who gets to experience the joy and privilege of serving English learners at the classroom, school, or district level? We can help to ensure that your students are getting what they need and helping you to feel more equipped to serve them well. English Learners Engage is a Mississippi-based educational consulting company owned by Monique that provides professional development, in-classroom teacher coaching and modeling, student tutorials, and products focused on serving multilingual students. We also provide technical support. Dr. Henderson's 2 books, 31 Things Your English Learners Want You to Know, Lessons from the Classroom, along with a sequel, are quick, accessible reads, perfect for a school or district-wide book study or for individual teachers. Each chapter is concise and clear, starting with a story about a specific student or group of students and ending with a quick tip and reflection question. Whether your school has 1 English learner who needs to build English proficiency or 1,000, EL Engage and Dr. Henderson can support you. Working together, we can take your English learners to the next level. Reach out today at Monique at EnglishLearnersEngage.com to see EL Engage's results and to get Monique and her team working for you.
I know you were showing me a video earlier of some food that was being cooked in your house, and I was just like, wow, I'm not sure what this is, but it looks
Yeah,
fabulous.
well, the coffee in itself, we were hearing all these popping noises in the
Right.
kitchen, this wonderful aroma. And one of my daughters was roasting beans on the stove. And I've
Right.
just never seen that done, honestly. So it was a great experience, to say the least. I didn't sleep all night because the coffee was really strong, but it was a good experience.
So I think in any season of life, there are hard things, right? Like,
Mhm.
kind of like you alluded to,
Mhm.
that maybe on some days you're really optimistic and you pop out of bed, but on other days, it can be, we all can be cynical. You've walked with me through, and one of the reasons I started this podcast, I think I've shared, is the fact that I lost both of my parents within about a 14 or 15-month period, sold the family home. I'm an only child. So, really, in terms of family of origin, not much left there. You've had your own challenges with just life and health. We all do, right? Even just adjusting to the really rapid pace of changes in our society right now around technology and everything, right? It's just a heavy time. What gets you out of bed and helps you, I don't know, get straight or get right, on the hard days, on the days that the beans aren't roasting?
Honestly, I think that just thinking about it for just a split second, that there's always someone out there having a worse day or a
Mm,
harder day. That's always that. And what good is it for me just to stay there and just dwell on what's going on with me when I can actually do something positive, not just for myself, but for someone, whether it's one person or a whole entire
mm.
family or just a neighbor, just to keep thinking positive because I try to be as positive as I can as opposed to being negative. Now, there's always a small fire burning inside of me, always. But there's also some tenderness and kindness, but I just have just a lot of things that I wish I would have done earlier than what I do now. But I guess the older you get, the more you just become unfiltered maybe, or I don't know. But I'm there and I just, I'm ready.
My best friend and I have these shirts. They say feral and 50. They really horrify my young adult children. You can imagine. Mom's walking around in a feral and 50 shirt. And now I'm 51. So I say I have to change it to say feral and 51. But yeah, if we keep losing this filter, woo, it's going to get interesting.
It does. It does. It does. I will soon be 66 and I embraced it.
Yeah.
I've heard people say, oh my God, you tell your, yeah, I'm proud. I have, honestly, I will age myself by telling you that I was in Germany when the East Berlin Wall was up, when it went down. I have served in Korea, close to the DMZ zone, and actually was there at the DMZ zone on the United States side. I have
Wow.
seen Watergate. I mean, I can just go on and on. So I've experienced, it's been a blessing. I am a boomer and I'm so proud to be a boomer. Yes.
Would you say that those experiences from when you were younger do help you now to process? And if so, how? Like, how do you build on the knowledge you learned when you were younger?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Because being of Hispanic, Mexican descent, you lived in a neighborhood where everybody was poor. So you didn't know you were poor. You just thought you had it going on with maybe the latest Bobby socks that we wore, because that's you got to pair for school.
Oh,
And,
that's pretty fancy.
yeah, and so school for us didn't start till the day after Labor Day. And
Yeah.
I'd have to wear this big pink party dress because my birthday was in August. So that was my school clothes. But being made fun of, we lived in a dairy milking cows for a while. And all the ranchers' children went to the same school I did. So it was, here we are having to milk cows twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, and then getting on the bus smelling like cow.
Huh.
Okay. So you were made fun of, but yeah, I was ashamed. I was a kid and I was ashamed, and I didn't want anybody to know who I was or what my race was, because we were talked about, we were called typical names that people still use today, which are horrifying. And some people think it's cute because they don't understand, like
Right.
being called a taco or a beaner or a greaser. Those are not funny names. And so
Right.
we were ashamed. So as I became a teenager, I was still ashamed. So I would never say I was Mexican. I would maybe say I was part Puerto Rican or something
Mhm.
exotic that I thought. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, I am proud of who I am. This is who I am. And I can bring it and show my culture. But at the same time, when I see people who look down on their own race and treat their own people with disrespect and
Mm.
discrimination, I always use an analogy that if you have let's say, I'm going to say a pinto bean, so if we eat pinto beans,
Mhm.
and put it in your pocket and travel across the ocean, say to China, and you
Mhm.
plant that bean there, what's going to grow? A pinto
Pinto
bean.
bean.
It may have, maybe because the soil is different, it may have a little different taste, but because you assimilate to the new culture doesn't mean you have to give yours away. You can just
Mhm.
combine it
Right.
and be proud of who you are. So it's taken me a long time because of the shame that was brought and the discrimination that was brought about, but it has made me stronger in who I am. And by the way, my foster dad was African American, so I picked up a lot from that culture
Right.
as well. And
Yeah.
so that was very interesting because I was used to eating pinto beans and Mexican rice, and I went to start eating red beans and rice, which I didn't know what it was.
Those are all great choices.
Yes, absolutely.
It's interesting how we take things from our childhood. We've talked about this before, and maybe work sometimes so that others don't have that same experience. think about myself. If any of my middle school and high school classmates are listening, they're going to kind of probably cringe, but I wore pro wings in middle school at a Title I middle school in Meridian, Mississippi. And you didn't wear pro wings. Those were from Payless, may it rest in peace. It had a place. It had a place in the
Yes.
economy. But I wore pro wings where I felt like everyone else was wearing Reebok or Nike. And so now one of the things that I like to do as I'm able is to make sure that other kids don't have that same experience. As simple as that might seem, and as much as it may have built our character to have those experiences, it's still not something I want for another child. There are other ways to learn and grow besides
Yes.
being made to feel less than. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back to continue this inspiring and engaging conversation.
Hey, my name is Jonathan Tullis. I'm the guy that's been editing this podcast. And if you like what you're hearing, I'd love to talk to you about what I can do for your nonprofit or your church or parachurch organization. I'm the founder of Strangely Warmed Media, a digital media consultancy that specializes in taking organizations to where they want to be in all aspects of digital media, including websites, podcasts, live streaming, and more. If you want to learn more, I invite you to visit my website at strangelywarmed.media. That's strangelywarmed.media, and learn about how Strangely Warmed Media can partner with you.
How are you learning and growing in this season? I know we've talked a little bit about some different journeys that you've been on and learning. What are some things that you're just learning about?
I think I'm learning to appreciate life every day more and more. And I'm appreciating family more than anything. I've always appreciated, but appreciating family and friends. And when I say family, I don't necessarily always mean biological. But for instance, you have become a big part of my family. We have been through some journeys, and
Yeah.
it's great because I mean, we laugh and we joke, but when it's time for business, it's a business. This is a different,
Yeah.
this is a total different Monique. Okay. So I'm just
We've
looking.
been totally different, but okay.
So,
Yeah.
no, she doesn't. Oh, yeah. And some got a email, but no. And I just, how people have embraced me,
Mhm.
how students have reached out. You think that you've been out of the classroom not a long time, but then you have students that you go to the doctor and here's your doctor and he's your student
Mhm.
and the impact they remember you. And so I have been growing to accept me
Mhm.
for who I am. I've always been very careful about exercising and eating, but there was a time where I just said, until I saw a picture. And then I said, yeah, I guess I better do something. But I had just had knee surgery and I have a scar on my knee and I just was afraid for the world to see it.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to embrace it. I'm wearing a dress today, which I never do,
Mhm.
and try to embrace that scar.
Right.
And so nobody's noticed it until I point it out, which
Mhm.
I'm
I
very,
didn't notice
yeah,
that.
well, I'm very bad about pointing like, oh, I got a scar. But anyway, I have been growing as far as trying to learn more and more about English learners because it's really important. I've known about, but I've never jumped into it as much as I have now. And the importance of being able to reach out not only to students, but how it affects their families. And so when we have these community meetings for their families and you meet families who can't even read their own or write their own language, it's heartbreaking because how do you navigate in a new country?
Mhm.
And
And yet they do it, and
yeah,
that
yeah,
is so inspiring.
yeah, yeah,
It awes me the way we are able and you are able to build the trust
yes.
of people within a system that they don't know and maybe don't have experience with very much yet. So that's really cool. When you said that you were learning more about you, I think, say more about that.
Well,
What are some
I'm
things you've
learning
learned about
more.
Nancy?
I am learning more about me as far as my emotional state. Sometimes I would hold tears in or my emotions. I want to please everybody.
Mm.
And so no matter inside, I'm saying, no, 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 you can't do it. But okay. But I'm learning me and learning how to say, I can't or
Mm.
no. Or if I want to cry, I'm a crier now. I just cry. Imagine this drill sergeant, just the whole thing. Yep, I'm crying. If I want to cry, I don't stop. But one thing that I have learned, and I learned from my oldest daughter, I call her sometimes because she's the voice of reason for me. And I say, this happened or this is going on. And she'll talk to me. And one thing she said to me that really has really sat with me was she says, Mom, She says, you need to learn how to have more grace and
Oh.
more patience. And I said, how so? Because I'm thinking this is what I have. She says, well, she says, years ago, she says, I would think that people that would just walk away from an argument or would just let people talk to them were just weak. She says, but I realized that they're really strong. She says, and it's so hard to do that. It is so difficult. And she's correct. So I've learned now, and I have to take a deep breath because I'm learning at this age when someone is arguing with me or just trying to be negative, I'll just say, you're right. It's okay. I understand.
Right.
And I'll walk away, which really is so difficult to do. And to have patience with that person and just don't hold it against anybody. So I think this is how I'm growing. I'm learning to have more grace,
Mm.
more patience, and just learn from that. So yes, that's what's going on with me right now.
I can relate to that. That one of the things I'm working on that kind of goes along that vein. A lot of people know that I love Bob Goff. I think that he's so
Yes.
inspiring. And one of the things that he encourages us to do is instead of rushing to a place of judgment about someone being right or wrong, is to just be curious, right? How is it that you came to be here in this moment and behave in this way? And I find a lot of times when I can step back and view something with curiosity, a lot of times what I find underlying is fear, that the person is in some way reacting in fear. And I've definitely been guilty of that myself, right?
Yes.
And people have lots of fears of being wrong, fears of not being enough, fears of being just shamed in some way or alone, the fear that they're going to be somehow stand alone. I know in the work that we do, sometimes the fear when we're working with newcomers is a fear that I'm a veteran teacher and I've never had a newcomer who doesn't have any English before. And what if I, at 20, 25, 30 years of experience, have finally found the challenge that I can't rise and meet? What if I'm not enough for this student? And so, yeah. So, I mean, and that's true in life. Like, I'm glancing over the video camera because my 20-year-old son is in the room, and having young adult children will challenge you, right? Because they're on a rapid growth journey. If you're lucky and if they're lucky, I think your 20s are just such a time of rapid learning. And so, yeah, they will let us know sometimes. And sometimes I joke that, hey, don't teach your kids to be critical thinkers. It's really not worth the hassle. But the reality is that I'm grateful for those challenges too. And if you have little ones, just enjoy the time that you feel like you know everything, because you will one day feel as though you know
Yeah.
nothing.
I have 5 grandchildren. They're all girls, and the ages are 13, 13, 12, 11, and 7. And they're all fashionistas. And let me just tell you, they teach me every time I see them, I'm learning either new vocabulary. If not, if I hear them, I go and learn and just try to be there and listen and try when they come to me and talk to me. When I hear something that's like over the top, I try to be calm, like, "Oh, okay, well, let's just talk about it." But
Let's be curious.
yeah,
Yeah.
and inside I'm like saying, "No." So, but I've learned that that is the best way and not to scare them to come and talk to you. So I do want to say that if you have young children or grandchildren or just anybody, to listen to them and don't overreact, because that is the background that I come from. My mom, she was a yeller and she was a disciplinarian. And now that I think back, one of the things that I've learned, I love my mom, but I think I feared her more than I respect her.
Mm.
That makes sense. I was scared. There's just certain things you didn't take food from anybody, not the neighbors. I don't care. You just don't. You just eat at home. You
Yeah.
didn't open the refrigerator unless you were asked to open it. You didn't go in her purse. You didn't, there was just things that you just knew you did not do. But, the discipline was pretty tough,
Yeah.
but again, back then there was no CPS.
Yeah.
Everything just came by, but
No, sometimes when I talk about my childhood, I have to clarify for people, like, that was a different time.
yeah,
Like, not that all of it was okay, but it was a different time
yeah.
where,
But I came out okay. No, but again, I struggle with that now. Did I fear my mother or did I respect her?
Mhm.
But it didn't take away the love that, that I had for her, because clearly she brought me into this world and could have maybe couldn't made other decisions back then, but still, she kept me. So I have a lot to be thankful for, and also for the journeys that I've taken with other families I'm grateful for that. Even for my high school graduation, I was out of state and couldn't afford to come back to my graduation. And my very best friend, who I call my sister, whom I lived with for a while, her family brought my graduation cap to me and my diploma like 4 or 5 years later. And so I didn't get to walk that stage. I walked it from a college degree, so it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And it's hard to know because some of us, I look at children that we work with, and some of us, the children face very just downright unspeakable experiences. We've had experiences close to home that are just downright unspeakable. And I don't ever want to say that that's why, right? I don't ever want to say like, this happened, because that's just too tidy for my liking, right? Like, oh, this happened so that you could do this. But we won't ever know whether you would take in foster children if you'd had a different child. We won't ever know that. There's a possibility you wouldn't have, and then there's a possibility you would have. But regardless, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're in my life, and I'm glad that you're making a difference for others. We're going to take just a quick break. And when we come back, I just want you to give us some parting advice for anyone who's open, right? Like, what are just maybe 2 pieces of advice that you have for folks? So,
Absolutely.
break. Hey, Jonathan. All right. So we are back now again with Nancy Tillman. So, Nancy, any parting advice for someone who is open to it? Someone who's like, hey, I wonder what maybe 2 pieces of advice Nancy wished that she had received 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago.
One is to be gracious. That is so important. And just to be accepting, be patient, and don't go into judging people so quickly. Stop and think, because we are not perfect. And we've all made mistakes, and we'll continue to make mistakes, but not to judge so quickly, because sometimes when we do that and we find out that that's not the case, just be patient, give some grace, and don't be so fearful to try new things. Don't just play it safe. And I mean legally. I'm not saying
Right.
but just, if you want to go to a dance class, go to it. If you don't,
if you want to wear a dress when you have knee replacement surgery scars, wear the dress.
That's it,
Yeah.
and just be you, live your life, and always remember it's about you. It is about you and what makes you happy. Stop trying to please the world. If that's you, because that's me, stop. Just think about and what makes you happy, even if it's eating a Milky Way bar, because I love Milky Way. Eat it. Just not too.
Balance, right?
But just be you, and like I said, lend a helping hand. Don't get used in the process, but lend a helping hand, and just do something out of the ordinary that you wouldn't do. Just stop, get out of that box, and live life. As the kids say, that start lifing. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, shaking things up a little bit.
Yeah.
I really like that. All right, Nancy, listen, thank you for all of that. We're going to take a quick break, hear a few messages, and then we'll be right back to continue this inspiring and engaging conversation. See you back here in just a moment. Well, Nancy, I'm so just darn glad that you're here. When I get up in the morning and I need a little inspiration, I think about you out there doing your thing and living life and learning, continuing to learn, continuing to grow, continuing to make the world better for other people. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we got to share you just a few minutes with our listeners today. So, yay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. You guys have a great day. Look forward to being back with you soon on Engaging with Monique.
Thanks for spending part of your day engaging with Monique. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, so you'll know when the next episode drops. Find our Facebook page for show notes and more. And don't forget to tell a friend about how much you love engaging with Monique.